Hi, my name is Ivan Bebic. I'm the Executive Chairman and co-founder of Auryn Resources. And for those of you who have not invested or aren't aware, the single most largest way or best way to make a major return on your investment is through maiden discoveries. And that's what we represent. Discovery is our business. These are some cautionary notes to allow me to be forward-looking. We are an exploration company, so everything is speculative that I'm about to talk about today. So we're going out for the world's largest discoveries. We call these tier 1 discoveries. That would mean they rank in the top 20 mines found on the planet. So the opportunity or the swing is really, really big. We spent $100 million doing this in the last 4.5 years through the bear market, which is now starting to turn into a bull market. And we got to the forefront of these major world-class discoveries. And in the next 12 months to 18 months, we're going to start to see these things being drilled and see if we're able to make these world-class discoveries. The company has $12 million in the treasury. It's well funded. And we also just turned the curve from being a holding company as of June 22nd. We're going back to being an exploration company due to the COVID interruptions. So as of June 22nd, the excitement will come back into our share price as we take on the final feat to get the drills turning towards the end of this year and through next year. Our management team, I'm not going to belabor everybody on this page. There's a few points I want to make. One is that we are very well balanced between corporate, financial, and technical personnel. We've attracted some of the best geoscientists, which I'll talk about in a moment, globally. We have a track record in ourselves of finding 5 million ounces at Ccori Resources, which is now a producing mine. We sold a company in the middle of the bear market for a couple $100 million to Agnico Eagle. The share price went from 67 cents to 360 per share. And if you held Agnico after the purchase 14 months later, it had doubled. This is what springboarded us into taking on such a big exploration swing, raising $100 million during the bear market to go find these world-class deposits. Now, to go do that, we all know you need a big technical team or a very strong one. Most of our geologists predominantly come from Nunavut, where they held titles as global experts, VPX, or in Antonio Ribas' case, one of our board members, he was also the VP of Geosciences for BHP, the largest mining company in the world. What's really unique about our technical team is they all have different disciplines. They're all experts in their own field. So when they work together collectively, they come up with a much more thorough, much stronger answer into where to go turn the drill bit. And this has helped us not only raise a lot of capital because of the quality of work they do, but it's also helped us go after these huge opportunities, which I'm going to talk about today. So this is what the portfolio looks like. We went after high-grade gold in Canada. We went after open pit, oxide, easier things to go find down in Peru, which we like to regard as elephant country, meaning there's world-class deposits in quite a few places there. We're going after copper, gold, and silver in Peru, and that I'll talk about in just a moment. We spent $60 million at Committee Bay. We're on the edge of breaking the code of finding these deposits that are buried with a slight layer of dirt. About 5 to 40 meters of dirt sits across our entire 300-kilometer long greenstone belt, or the property package that we have at Committee Bay. Our goal at Committee Bay is to go make 2 or 3 discoveries that would match something like an Amaruq, owned by and operated by Agnico Eagle, or a Meliadine. Amaruq's about 6 million ounces of 6 grams per ton. Meliadine's about 11 million ounces of 7 grams per ton. These are truly some of the world's largest gold deposits. It's also elephant country. It's been a project that we've generally approached with $1,300 gold as a minimum pricing rule of thumb, but we're really excited about the next program we go up there with after spending $60 million, getting closer, and the gold price performing the way it has. We think that's a major, major opportunity for us as a tier 1 swing in Canada. Homestake Ridge is incredibly high-grade deposit, about 1.2 million ounces of just under 8 grams per ton in the Golden Triangle in BC. A lot of room to make it bigger. We did a PA on it recently. 5% net present value was about 173 million US at 1620 gold, 32% IRR to go with that. This is an asset that we believe will be built as a mine that can get bigger. But that's the value proposition that goes with the big swings that I'm talking about here today. In Peru, you're going to hear about Sombrero and Curibaya. That's what I'll touch on today because that's going to be the focus of our efforts as we go into drilling, potentially this quarter, Q4, or into the spring of next year before we drill Committee Bay next summer. So Sombrero has been the talk, not just of us, of several major mining companies have taken note. because we're exploring for some of the world's biggest copper and gold deposits. And why we're doing this, we got to a belt called the Andahuaylas-Yari Belt. If you haven't heard of it, you may have heard of a mine called Las Bambas, which sold for $8 billion in 2014. Las Bambas is the 10th largest producing copper mine in the world, and it sits on a trend with about 5 or 6 world-class deposits that have been mined or are mines that are operating. We believe that on the western side of the belt, where nobody's gone to explore because of volcanic cover that you can see here in green, we believe the same deposits potentially can occur on our side of the trend because of some exploration we've done to date, and this is where we think we can repeat at least one or potentially more Las Bambas type of discoveries. So before I get into the exploration side of it, this is the infrastructure. It's exceptional. You know, big deposits cost a lot of money to build, and they're usually the determinant on the profitability of what they're worth. There's power, there's paved roads right into the property, the power lines are over top of the property, there's towns nearby, there's access to water, and we're only at 3,900 meters elevation. This is an incredible infrastructure picture for potentially one of the biggest discoveries that we might get onto in the last 20 or 30 years as a planet. Neok, this is high-grade gold and copper. This is what we first saw when we got there. You can see in the image the volcanic cover. You can see the small windows through erosion of high-grade copper and gold that we saw on surface when we first got here. We have subsequently nearby Neok sampled 100 to 230 meters of 0.5, 0.6, and 0.7% copper and gold equivalent. So we've got about a 12-kilometer of targets in our first 2 of 4 major targets that we have identified to date. We've taken 4,000 samples off the surface. The average grade of everything is about 0.61% copper and gold equivalent. That's the same grade as Las Bambas, the mines next door. The main difference is we have copper and gold. A lot of those are copper and molybdenum. Gold is obviously worth much more than molybdenum. Being first movers, we sampled 8,000 square kilometers through stream sediments. What you're looking at the image here on the left is the signature of copper. The hotter the color, the more copper, overlapped with the same claims with the signature of gold on the right. This is a massive 130,000 hectare land position, and we've only expressed or explored the first 5% of it in the north, and we're now working on the rest of it as I speak here today. Good lucky. This is an incredible opportunity that's also going to give us the first look at the third dimension. About 7 kilometers north of the 12 kilometers that I've explained of surface expression where we've sampled copper and gold, Mother Nature has given us a free 3D snapshot. And if you pay close attention to this cliff, you can see the mining ant, it's halfway down the cliff. You can see the grades on surface, up to 4% copper, up to 5 grams gold at random. There is a drill target on the back side of the cliff, but at the bottom of the cliff at 400 meters depth, we see bornite, which represents high-grade copper. So this gives us the third dimension before we turn our first drill here. Now, there is some historical drill core. Somebody did drill a postage stamp looking for iron. We resampled that core, and this is the rock that took our world by storm because it showed us that all of the signals we're using to target what's subsurface are potentially coming from what you see here in this black rock for the high grade of magnetite exoskarn with chalcopyrite in it, running over 1% copper and over half a gram gold. There's no shortage of green rock on surface, oxidized copper, but now we have a little layer into the potential third dimension to go alongside that cliff that I just showed you in the previous slide. There is more to talk about at Sombrero. We have not done a full exploration through the south. We're starting that June 22nd, but there will be several world-class, probably 6 to 10 world-class discovery opportunities we believe that will come out of our land position. So in summary, Sombrero, we're exploring the other half of a world-class belt. Everything's the same as the mines next door, including the age of the event that these rocks took place. And we're entering the final phase of drill permitting, which we're anticipating potential drill permits in Q4. We'll see how that goes going forward. Curibaya is a tremendous opportunity on the coast. Some of the largest mines of Peru occur on the coast: Cerro Verde, Tocopala, Quellaveco. We're also on the border of the epithermal precious metal belt. Curibaya so far has shocked us. It has shocked everybody in the mining world because the amount of precious metals we've been seeing off the surface. Before I get started, the infrastructure as well is exceptional. There's roads that go right into the project. There's power nearby. There's a port nearby. It's an incredible infrastructure opportunity, which will be profitability, much like we've portrayed up at Sombrero. The Curibaya rock sampling so far for silver, I don't want you to digest where all these results are. I'll show you them in a moment. Just pay attention to the red or the pink squares and how spread out they are over this region with those 3 gray circles that represent domes. And this will be important for the model. If I flip to this side, this is gold in the same area. As again, you can see it's nicely disseminated. Third point, this slide here. You look at about 40 samples of silver that are above 400, 500 gram silver up to 14 kilos silver. There's 40 samples over 1.6 grams gold, past a half ounce to over an ounce gold up to 42 grams per ton. And then there's, on the west of these targets, there's these big faults carrying from 0.5 to 13.5% copper coming into them. This is a quick snapshot of the model that it looks like. Basically, we're looking at these dome complexes. The targets would be the necks of the domes. We believe these veins that are carrying the high-grade silver and gold are radiating out of these domes. The next few months will be very revealing to the caliber and scale of how big these opportunities can be when we do our geophysics and apply for permitting to hopefully get our drill permits in Q4 of this year. So in summary, another world-class belt. If you want to find something big, you have to look where big things are. Drill permits here will be a lot quicker than they took at Sombrero because you don't need as an elaborate of a permit, which puts us in a permitting position for Q4. Real quickly on our capital and share structure, 104 million shares out. I'd argue we have some of the best exploration shareholders in the world. That is the ingredient to every share price performance and gives us the chance to have a lot of torque on our investment. We own 15%. We've been big inside buyers of our shares over the last 4 years. And we have some really key shareholders such as Ross Beatty, Rob Sally, and so on that have been through us in our past successes and our large shareholders here looking for the success going forward. Last slide here, 2 slides. We're entering the discovery phase. We're at the edge of about to get permits and we've learned as much as we could learn and now it's time to turn the drill. This is the time where the investment curve starts to speculate and do extremely well. As we're back to work June 22nd, we anticipate drills turning within 4 to 6 months and possibly across everything that I've talked about today within 12 to 18 months, giving us a very short window into making these world-class discoveries as we go forward. So in summary, the COVID impact, we're finally back to work June 22nd. It's nice to go from a holding company to an exploration company. Second point is the second half of this year will be opposite in terms of news flow and performance than the first half. We actually will be back to work and bringing a lot more targets to the drill ready stage, and we'll paint the picture on a lot of things that are going to get big that we haven't talked about yet. And lastly, there's a really high degree of optionality in our portfolio. We're geographically in Canada and Peru. We have gold assets, we have copper assets, we have silver assets. We've talked openly, publicly about the potential consideration of spinning things out at some point in time. It's a strong consideration. The main denominator we wanted there was maturity of exploration, which I think we've most certainly got to. We also want to see the commodity markets perk up a bit because raising capital comes with that, and we want to be able to fund and run these things eloquently into the bull market. So those things are happening now for us. So the possibility of us spinning ourselves into 2 or 3 entities is something we're considering very seriously. If you like big discoveries, if you like huge torque on your investment, and you want to own something that could deliver a 10, 20, 30 times your money return, we represent that opportunity across 3 of our major assets. We've done this twice before, very successfully. This is the best company we've been able to put together at the most pristine timing of the bull market. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any more information you'd like, please visit our website at www.aurynresources.com. Our symbol's AUG on the NYC American as well as AUG on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Thank you very much.